Hey, how you doing? Welcome back. I was messing around with some panes on a website and I started tinkering with a bit of CSS code and I managed to do something which I'm pretty sure people are going to say, yeah, that's dead easy. Show us something new. But what I wanted to do was have three panes that are kind of like overlapped. So you only get a little bit of like, and we can see what it's doing now. You only can see a bit of the image and a bit of the text and you can't see the call to action button. But when you hover over it, they kind of jump to the front. This is not using a plugin. This is just using CSS code. So this button here, which you can see now, you can't see at the moment. Now, where would this be useful? Let's say you've got a bit of your website, you've got a shop, maybe you've got a blog, maybe you've got a contact page, maybe you've got something else. It's almost like a menu system. So you're now revealing what sits a bit more about the page, a bit of a description. You've got the call to action button. You click that button and it takes you to the page. So it's another way of doing like a menu system or just adding in a little bit more variation onto your website. By the way, you don't have to have a button, right? You could do this without any button and just have images and text, or not even have any text. You don't even have to have the ribbon that I've put up here as well, just to show how it would work. So I'm going to show you how to do that right now. So like I said, everything is being done within Elementor Pro, okay? No extra plugin, just a bit of and the CSS code is not big at all, all right? It's pretty simple, and when you look at it, you'll understand it. It is so clear. So what we're going to do is, this is the bit you got to pay attention to. We're going to create a section, and this section I'm going to make be 900. Why have I gone for 900? Just because of the pane effect, all right? If you want to have it full screen, go for full screen, but the pane effect looks quite nice like that. 1000, 1100 is okay as well. I'm going to go with no gap boxed, and I'm going to set the minimum height to just be minimum height. Now, the pane we're going to use is the call to action one. Okay, the call to action one is a really versatile, brilliant widget to use, because if I was to switch this to be, well, I could do that and have the image on the left-hand side. I could have it above or on the right. I actually want the image to be under the text. So if you go to skin and change that to be cover, the image is now on the skin, if that makes sense. So let's just pick an image. And I'm going to replicate what I've done above, okay? Because it's easier for me as well to reflect back on what I did. So let's just pick that image there. So we have an image. It's that image over there, okay? I'm going to just give this image, I'm going to make it a full... You could have a ribbon. I'm not going to put it back in again because you saw it at the top. But if you wanted to, so let's say you've got a page where you've got like maybe a template, CSS code, shop, whatever you want to put, you could put that into. If I put shop in, okay, it's appeared over there, and I could flip it to be over to the left-hand side, and you can modify the color and the font as well. I'm actually going to get rid of that for now. I'm not going to have it in for this second version. We're going to go to style. And I'm not going to mess around with the height or anything of this. I'm going to leave this just as a default call to action height at the moment. But if you want to modify it, you can do. What I will do, though, is just modify the text that we have at the moment. Now, I am going to just let you know that, you know the text over here, the button is already on the right-hand side. That's because this page is currently picking up the fact that I've got a bit of CSS code over here. So I'm just going to knock this CSS code out. So I'm kind of jumping the gun here a little bit. Let me just get where is it? Let me just put button X. There you go. So all the buttons have now moved over to the left. We'll come back to the CSS code in a bit. So this is your standard page in effect, okay? I would say you definitely want to add in some padding. So we'll go for a left of we'll go with 20. The button, you know, if you want to give it a border radius, a bit of roundedness, you know, I'm just kind of replicating what I did above. Now, these panes over here, they're not the full width, you'll notice, right? They're just kind of like little components. Now, the way we did that is you go over to your pane, you go to your advanced, you go to positioning, and we're going to set this to be custom. And I'm going to put pixel width of 400. I'm also going to just give this a bit of a border as well. We'll go with about 25. There we go. Okay. If you want to add in a box shadow effect, you know, if you want to, you know, add something in like that, whatever, if you want to do all of that, you can do. I'm not going to have any zoom in effect, and I'm not even going to have any grow either. Okay. And there's two things we need to do before we add in the other paints, and we're near the end. Okay. We're going to give this a CSS class of hover slide X. I'm not going to call it hover slide 0 as what I have above, because then otherwise the effect will start to kick in, and I don't want to do that yet. Hover slide X, because once we add it in here, we are going to duplicate this pane. So it's the CSS code, not the CSS code. The CSS class will be in all 4 panes. But if we add in 4 panes, okay, let me show you what's going to happen, right? You're going to duplicate it and this will happen. And then I duplicate it again, and then this will happen, and then again, and it goes like that. And the reason being is because let me just undo that. The reason being is because the size of it is pushing it along. They're all in line, and that's what kind of custom does, but they're all being pushed along. Now, we need to stop and think here. I have 4 pixels, 4 panes, but they are overlapping. If you take 100% divided by 4, you get 25%. If I set my panes to be 25% each, there will be no overlap space. They will perfectly fit within 100%. So I want to say the number of panes plus 1. 4 panes plus 1 is 5. If you've got 3 panes, plus 1 is 4. If you've got 2 panes, plus 1 is 3. Always add on 1. So now I do 100% divided by 5. 4 panes plus 1 is 5. 100% divided by 5 is 20%. So we go over here. We go to our positioning. Now, where I said 400 pixels, that's not what we want. We now want to go to percent, and I'm going to change that to be 20%. Right now, you're going to view that and go, well, that is looking ridiculously ugly now. Leave it at 20%. But this is where you now have to think. If your section is 900, okay, divide or multiply that by 0.2. Because we have got 4 panes at 20%. The 5th pane is 20% as well. But what is 20% of the section width 900? 20% of 900 is 180. All right, and this is where it's important. Your section was 900. You got 4 panes. You add 1 to make 5. 100% divided by 5 is 20%. 20% of 900, your section width, is 180. So I will now go to my section here, go to advanced, and where you have right, I'm going to put 180. Because by doing that, that will now fill up the gap that we're going to create with the extra 20%. Stay with me on this. This works. This is mathematics, but it works. So this pane has a right margin of minus 180, because that is 20% of 900. But the positioning is 20%. Now watch what happens when I duplicate this. Duplicate, duplicate, duplicate. And if you don't believe me, I'm going to do this, okay? I'm going to try and, in fact, I probably shouldn't have done this now. But if I do this like that, and I position, can you see? I don't know if you can see this on screen. That is now a perfect 900 that we've got there. Okay, that is a full 900 width, and that is perfect. So now we have section 1, well, pane 1, pane 2, pane 3, and pane 4. Absolutely perfect. This is the point, though, where you're going to go into each pane now, and you're going to pick a different image. Okay, so let's go for this image over here. And obviously, you know, you would now change your content. You know, you go in and go, right, okay, let's change this to be, wow, you know, whatever you're going to put in there, okay? You're going to change your content, all right? If you do find, though, that you get that effect where you've got your header is so long, it's going over onto 2 lines, you could just do this, okay? Just do break like that. So put in 2 breakpoints and it will now put it in line if you really have to, but have a think about your headers and all of that. Remember, though, that your buttons over here, your call to action, if you don't want a button, you get rid of it, and it will get rid of the button. If you do want to have it over here, you stick in your link over here. Now, the links are all the way to the left, and we're going to hide them by putting them over to the right, okay? So let's just hit update for a moment. That, in effect, is your 4 panes overlapping perfectly within your 900 pixel width section. And that's it. That literally is all you got to do. Except the CSS code. Go to section, well, pane 1. Sorry, I keep saying section. Pane 1, okay? Go down to custom CSS, and I'm going to drop this code in here. Now, this code only works, is a minimum of 600 pixel width, okay? So if you're if your screen size is smaller than 600, like certain mobile phones or whatever, this will not work. Instead, it will do something completely different, and I'll explain that in a moment. Having this effect on a mobile is not good. Believe me, it looks awful. And I would say don't have the overlap at all, but I'll show you what I did for that. So this is only going to work. Your minimum is 600. Anything below, mobiles and all of that, smartphones, it won't do this. We're going to have hoverslidex. So this is saying on hover, rotate by 4 degrees, like that, okay? And scale by 1.1. So 1 to 1 means the same size. 1.1 means it increases by 10% in size. X-axis, Y-axis, okay? Transition is 0.8. So if you put it as like 5 seconds, it will be really slow. 0 seconds, it will be really quick and blunt. I did 0.8. I find 0.7, 0.8 is a great transition timing for me. Z index 999. Now, what is that all about? Well, at the moment, these panes are sitting in front of one another. If you hover over here, I mean, it's doing it now. That hover effect makes this pane have become 999. Therefore, it doesn't matter what order it was added in, it jumps to the front. This one will always be at the front because it's the last one. But look, they're now coming to the front. And can you see the rotate effect? We then have the elementor-cta buttons. This is the call to action button. I'm going to take that off. And now the button moves to the right. Okay, it floats to the right. So the button is there. So I would probably say have that one as your shop, maybe, because you want them to go to your shop. Convert, get them into your shop. But maybe you've got a blog, call to action button. Maybe you've got a about us page. Maybe you've got a contact form or something like that, and you want to have a button there. This can be super, super versatile in how you build it. And if you were to build it in a different way, you could have them overlapping the other way round as well. Now, let me address the problem I was talking about with the mobile, okay? This at the moment here, can you see what it's doing? When I hover over it, nothing is happening because I've removed the effect. But if I was to take this off, this just, it looks awful, right? Let me put that back in. But I've also, if you notice over here on the original, there is no overlap because look, this is just like, it's just not working very well. So instead what I did was when you get to the mobile, there is no margin. So I haven't got minus 180 on the right now. Okay, the positioning is 100% now. Okay, so it's all the way across. We haven't got like that slimmed down version, anything like that. And that's literally it. That was it. So now on the mobile, you would have all of your panes showing one underneath another. You might want to have some margin. The great thing is over here, we have this effect, which I think is pretty cool. I think this is a really cool way of doing things sometimes, and I hope it's taught you to use the code in the description just to be a bit different with how you do overlaps and panes and revealing items maybe with no extra plugin. Simple bit of code that you can modify and do what you want with. I hope you like, subscribe, share and follow, and I'll see you soon.